Hello, this is Brian Rosner with Biomed Publishing Group, and today I read an article on CNN about how experts now believe that different mental disorders might be more connected than they thought, such as specifically in this article, bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. Well, it really surprises me that they're coming out as if this was some great new discovery. It's long been known that the diagnostic criteria for these different mental disorders is very gray and can blur, and it's not so easy to tell which disorder somebody might have, or if the diagnostic lines that they draw between the diseases are even legitimate. A couple of years ago, I wrote a book called The Lyme Autism Connection, and I co-authored this with Tammy Duncan, who is the co-founder of the Lyme-Induced Autism Foundation. And this book goes into a lot of the research along those lines. Now, many of you know it's pretty common now for people to be aware of the fact that Lyme disease can cause manifestations of mental disorders, and the reason that we know that they are Lyme disease and not some mysterious malfunction in the spiritual or mental realm of your brain is the fact that when people take antibiotics, these so-called incurable mental disorders either get a lot better or in some cases go away completely. And so this is an indication that Lyme sufferers are often actually experiencing manifestations of mental disorders. There was a author for the Public Health Alert newsletter who told me a story about a year ago about a woman who was actually hospitalized in a psychiatric hospital for a schizophrenic episode where she, completely lost function and was, forgetting her name and lashing out at people and pretty scary stuff. That can be a real big problem for Lyme disease sufferers who don't get properly diagnosed. They could go weeks, months, or perhaps the rest of their life without ever really finding out what's wrong with them and what the problem is. So it's important for Lyme disease sufferers to be properly diagnosed so those mental disorders can be treated properly. Now, of course, not all mental disorders are a result of Lyme disease. The brain is a very mysterious and not completely understood, obviously, organ. And so, the best thing, in my opinion, is to conduct a therapeutic trial of the Lyme disease treatment. In some cases, antibiotics. Now, the therapeutic trial must be done under the supervision of a physician, obviously. But if somebody has a mental disorder and they do a therapeutic trial of for example, let's say an antibiotic or a drug for Lyme disease, and they improve, that's a pretty good indication that there could be a Lyme disease or some other infection there. Now, I mentioned some research on this topic. There have been a number of physicians. Garth Nicholson, I believe, is one, and he wrote an article called Microbes and Mental Illness. And if you do a Google search for that topic, microbes and mental illness, you'll find a very interesting article with the correlation between bacterial infections and mental illness. Now, if somebody has Lyme disease, they're going to experience a lot of different manifestations psychologically, not just things like symptoms of schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, but the whole array of problems can show up: memory loss, confusion, depression, anxiety, forgetting where they are when they're driving down the road, suicidal thoughts, and all these things are very serious and absolutely should be dealt with by a qualified Lyme literate physician, such as you can get a referral for a Lyme literate physician from ILADS, International Lyme and Associated Diseases Society. Also, the book that Connie Strassheim just wrote, called Insights into Lyme Disease Treatment, is based on interviews with 13 Lyme disease doctors, and Connie asked each of the doctors how they deal with manifestations of mental symptoms, inability to sleep, insomnia, depression, anxiety, and how they treat those conditions. So I found it very interesting to read through here and get a lot of ideas and approaches on how one might, of course with the cooperation of their physician, go about dealing with those symptoms. So this has been sort of a rambling commentary on mental illness and Lyme disease. And what sort of got me fired up about this topic was seeing these experts now, amazingly conclude that these mental illnesses are more mysterious and more interconnected. If I had a final message to people watching this, it would be that if you or someone you love is diagnosed with a mental disorder like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, I don't want to give you false hope, but on the other hand, it's not necessarily a life sentence. These disorders are just like anything else. It's a physical problem with the body that can be treated and it can be addressed. And a lot of the drugs that are used out there these days for those disorders are what we call palliative treatments, which means that they don't address the cause. So I would encourage you, with the help of a licensed physician, to look for the cause of that. In some cases, it may be mercury poisoning. Other cases, Lyme disease. Other cases, it might be something else, even environmental toxins. And to really dig deeper and try to do detoxification and supplementation and find out what the problem is, just as you would with a knee. People think because the brain is so mysterious that something that's wrong in the brain in a mental disorder is by definition impossible to deal with. But it's a physical organ, the brain is, and just like your knee, if you fall and break your knee, you're not just going to sit there and cry about it and say you have a life sentence. You're going to do research, find the right physicians, and really kind of find what the bottom of it is and deal with it. And there's been a lot of people that I've talked to that have had a lot of success with that approach. I'll probably do another follow-up video on this topic because it is so interesting and there's so much to talk about. So this is Brian Rosner with Biomed Publishing Group. Please remember that I am a layperson and journalist, and I am not a medical practitioner, so seek a medical practitioner if you have medical questions. The first chapter of this book is actually available for free on our website, and you can read that. It's Stephen Harris, who's a medical doctor in California and treats Lyme disease. Again, that chapter is available for free online at lymebook.com. That's LYMEBOOK.com, lymebook.com. Okay, till next time.